According to US News and World Report, only about 18% of the US population knows how to drive a manual car. Driving a manual car can be useful when looking for a new car. And according to Science Direct, manual car drivers are less likely to get into an accident as they are more aware and attentive to the road. Now, how do we start driving a manual car? Well, to start a manual car, it's going to be very similar to starting an automatic car. But this time we're going to have a clutch pedal and a gear shifter. To start a manual car, we're going to push in the clutch pedal until it's fully engaged, and then set the gear shifter into neutral. Now that we have the clutch pedal engaged and the car neutral, we're just going to start the car as normally. Now, how do we get moving in a manual car? I've been driving a manual car for over 5 years, and I think this is the hardest part for beginners, as it requires a lot of practice and work. Now, to get a manual car moving, we're going to engage the clutch again and then put the car into first. Now, instead of just letting go of the clutch immediately, what we're going to do is slowly let go of the clutch. And when the clutch is about 70 or to 80%, it depends on the car, we're going to enter the friction zone. Now in the friction zone, what we're going to start to do is apply a little bit of gas so the car doesn't stall out. This is going to be hard for beginners, and that's why I recommend a lot of practice. Now once we get the car moving, the next step is going to be to shift into second. Now how do we shift a car, or how do we know when to shift a car? Well, usually it's going to happen between 2,500 RPMs and 3,000, but you can also listen to the engine, as it will tell you when it starts to get busy or just louder. And we're going to repeat this process until we either get to the required speed that we need to get to, or if we're at the maximum gear. Now, how do we stop a manual car? Stopping a manual car is pretty simple. What we're going to do is engage the clutch again, and then put the car into neutral and slowly slow down to our stop. Now, let's get to driving a manual car.
The first thing I recommend doing when getting into a manual car is just get familiar with the gear positioning. So if we come all the way to the left and then upwards, it's going to be first. If we go straight down from there, it's going to be second. If we let the car come back to neutral and then go upwards, it's going to be third. Straight down from there is going to be fourth. And then all the way to the right and then upwards is going to be fifth. And then reverse is going to be all the way to the right and then downwards. Now, let's get the car started. What I recommend doing is just putting your foot on the brake, as you don't want it to be moving anywhere when you engage the clutch, and then just start the car. Now that the car is started, we can just get the car into first, and we want to get it rolling. So we engage the clutch again, come here, and then go all the way to the left and then upwards. What we're going to do now is I'm going to slowly let go of the clutch pedal while applying a little bit of gas. What we want to notice here is that the RPMs are going to start dropping when I get to that friction zone. And what I'm going to do is just apply a little bit of gas. And then we're moving. I'm not going to be going too far for this demonstration, as I don't want to be filming and driving. So I'm just going to let the car come back to neutral, and then we're going to shut it off. As shifting gears from first to second is pretty basic, so what we want to do is that if the car is in first, what we're going to let happen is from first, what we do is, again, we just engage the clutch, and then we can come straight downwards to second. And then we can just let go of the clutch. There's no need for that friction zone, as we're already moving. Now, one thing to note is that if we were trying to reverse, we would also need to do that friction zone.
The hardest part about driving a manual car for a beginner is just to get the car rolling and moving. Knowing when and how much gas to use, while also knowing where that friction zone is, just takes practice, and beginner drivers just don't have much of that. So the thing I'd suggest most to beginner drivers is just to figure out where that friction zone is and get used to applying gas when you're getting into first gear. Driving a manual car is useful as it allows you to be more attentive to the road, and it allows you to pick from more options while shopping for cars.